Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Jay with Guilty of Crime, and today we're talking about the Adam Montgomery case. So, I wasn't planning on covering this one. However, I've been following it because you almost can't follow it. If you're a true crime junkie like me and you're into true crime and you just consume everything true crime, you can't get away from this case. And it's very sad because it's such a beautiful little girl that left us way too early. Some of us have to work really hard for to have such a beautiful and healthy kid. And she had her issues, which I don't know if anybody anybody is following this case that can tell me anything about any more than this. Hey, Sadie's mama, how's it going? Yeah, very interesting day today. Some people that haven't followed it, I thought I would do a quick recap because most of the channels that have done it, actually, it's been a while since we've heard about what's going on and so forth. So, um, yeah, let's talk about doing a recap. And for those that already know what the case is about, then you can skip this part or just hang in there and listen with me. But I mean, this is just a beautiful little girl, and I keep seeing it everywhere and hearing about how she was a miracle. She had a lot of health issues. Legally, she was blind in two eyes, or in both eyes. Well, we only have two, but she was legally blind in both eyes. And as you can see here, just beautiful. They had corrective glasses on her, but her mom or her adoptive mother testified today, and it was heartbreaking. um she cried, and I don't blame her. It's just it's a heartbreaking case. So as I talk about, yes, absolutely, as I talk about it, it's justice for Harmony. And I think people are on the same side. I think I haven't seen anyone say, "Oh, poor Adam" or "poor Kayla." So I think we're all on the same side. And when you watch these things and you watch how cold and callous this guy is, it doesn't matter that he was a drug addict. He tries to use that as an excuse, um, about how he's reformed, and he when he was using drugs, he didn't like know what he was doing. And that's no excuse to me to do what he did. And yes, guilty. It's innocent until proven guilty. But let's watch this and let me know what you think. Do you think poor Adam? Maybe you do. Maybe if you think that, I respect you. Innocent until proven guilty. So let's watch this and see if that's the case. Let's take this one down. Hello, everybody. And let's watch a little bit of this video so you can see what it's about if you don't know. All right.
The high-profile trial for a New Hampshire man accused of beating his 5-year-old daughter to death, then hiding her young body, is just weeks away. Adam Montgomery faces several charges, including second-degree murder and falsifying physical evidence in connection to the suspected murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery, whose body has yet to be found. Harmony was reported missing in November 2021, nearly 2 years after investigators say she was killed. The details surrounding the crime are heinous. Prosecutors say Adam beat his daughter to death in a fit of rage after a bathroom accident in the car, then moved her body in different hiding places in an effort to conceal her remains. As both the prosecution and Adam's defense attorneys prepare for trial, in the latest courtroom filing, the defense now says they want several pieces of key evidence to be kept hidden from the jury. The attorneys representing Adam say prosecutors plan to present what could be damning evidence against their client. They say prosecutors plan to share disturbing details that include Adam allegedly purchasing 40 pounds of pelletized limestone, another 40-pound bag of limes, a power grinder, a metal-cutting diamond blade, a lithium-ion battery and charger, all for the purpose to conceal Harmony's body. But in court documents filed by the state, it further explains the grisly and chilling details prosecutors say will help support them in trial. In a 12-page response to the defense motion, prosecutors say Adam's estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, informed officers he purchased lime because he believed that would assist in decomposing Harmony's body and prevent her body from being found. Kayla also revealed to investigators that he had Harmony's body in a bag and that at one point he took the body out of the bag and into a hot shower to manipulate the body to put her in pieces. The documents go on to state investigators later obtained bank records from Adam and Kayla's shared account that revealed more. According to records, in February 2020, a cash withdrawal was made from the account at an ATM located directly across the street from the Home Depot where Adam worked. Officials say one cash purchase of limes was made on February 15, 2020. Another was made on February 26, 2020. Just one day later, on February 27th, prosecutors say there was a work order made for Adam's apartment to snake the drain of the bathtub. And according to more court documents, officers learned Adam disposed of Harmony's corpse between March 3rd and March 4th of 2020. Just 5 days after the ATM withdrawals and cash purchases were made at Home Depot, and 3 months after investigators believe she was killed. Authorities say in March of 2023, Kayla was able to match.
Now, I'm pausing it quickly because this is innocent until proven guilty. However, breaking news yesterday, this guy pleaded guilty to abuse of a corpse and maybe another charge or two. We'll talk about that and I'll play the clip. But day one of the trial, he, instead of being opening statements, which is day two, which yesterday, he actually, I don't know if it's a strategy by the defense. He pled guilty. And you ask, how could he plead guilty? We'll find about that. He conceded to guilt. So it's not an actual guilty plea. It's does the jury need to find him guilty on what he pled to, or are they going to find him guilty on actually doing the crime? So breaking it down in layman's terms, when you hear about conceding guilty, I have an expert, a clip from an expert that talks about what exactly that is. Some people are confused about, if he pled guilty, then why isn't he guilty? Why is the trial still going? Why didn't we find the body? If he pled guilty, why aren't they making him tell us where the body is if he pled guilty? That's a good question. Defendants have a lot of rights, and their attorneys are able to manipulate things so that they can make a power move like that and still not have to share that information. Because if he does, then it's going to get a lot messier for him. So, yeah, I'm really passionate and heated about this case at the same time. So, let's finish our recap. If you haven't seen this case in a while, he did plead guilty to this, what they're talking about here, and disposing or abuse of a corpse. And no, he did not tell where the body was. So, that's an interesting take. It's too bad the prosecutors and anybody that's in that on that side can't make him, when he pleads or concedes to guilt, that he doesn't have to share where the body is. It's just so sad. Here we go.
Match the bag used to conceal Harmony's body to the purchases Adam allegedly made at Home Depot back in 2020. Fast forward to 2024, ahead of his upcoming murder trial, lawyers for Adam are firing back against his estranged wife, Kayla, saying she downplayed her role in disposing of Harmony's remains. His attorneys say Kayla actively assisted in the manipulation of Harmony's remains and knew full well a saw, blade, grinder, or battery were not used. The defense wants to block any mention of the 80 pounds of lime, a diamond blade, and the power grinder purchases from getting in front of the jury at the upcoming trial, where Kayla is expected to be a key witness. She testified previously as a state's witness in his 2023 weapons trial under a plea agreement.
Where do you currently reside?
The state prison for women.
And how long have you lived there?
Since November 2022.
Why do you live in the women's prison?
Perjury charges.
Were you convicted of those charges
Yes.
and sentenced for those charges?
Yes.
Were you also charged with receiving stolen property?
Yes.
And those charges were dismissed as part of a were those
Yes.
charges dismissed as part of a plea agreement?
Yes.
And you admitted to lying to the grand jury?
Yes.
Did you admit apologies. Did you admit to lying to the grand jury?
Yes.
Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony here today?
Yes.
The charges stemmed from an unrelated 2019 incident where Adam was accused of stealing and possessing a rifle and shotgun, then selling them as a previously convicted felon. While on the stand, Kayla testified Adam stole the weapons to swap them out for money or drugs. But she also gave insight into their home life in the months leading up to Harmony's death.
So focusing back on that time period, September, October 2019, what was your life like back then?
I was working up until November 20.
I wanted to do a recap of the case, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I don't really want to hear about her too much. I just wanted to share what this case started out as, show you Kayla, so you know who Kayla is, and you know who Adam is, and you know who Harmony is if you're watching this. Yeah, this is just one of those cases that's unbelievable. It seems to go on and on. Now she pled guilty already, so let's fast forward a little bit so we can get into the why and what happened. He pled guilty, how that was possible, what conceding means.
19.
Opportunity through drugs, but I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her. Please don't consider anything that relates to those charges. Only consider the facts to this case.
It was a different tune from Adam's 2021 police encounter where body cam footage shows officers questioning Adam about his daughter's whereabouts. The footage is captured on December 31st, 2021, the day Manchester police first announced a missing persons investigation for Harmony, who hadn't been seen alive since 2019. Adam was found sleeping in a car in a parking lot when authorities caught up with him.
Been pulled asleep. We make contact right now. Show me your hands.
You guys want to code it at all? Or you guys good?
Keep your hands where I can see them. Step on out. Hey, keep your hands where I can see them.
What's going on?
What's your name, my man?
What? Adam.
Adam. You have anything on you?
No.
All right, come right over here.
What's wrong?
I'm just going to pat you down, make sure you don't have any weapons. Put your hands on top of your head, okay? On top of your head.
What's going on, though? What's the problem right now?
All right.
Yeah, this guy's a real piece of work here. We're just watching when they came up to him and they actually did the arrest, and, you know, what he's focused on, what he's worried about. He's literally worried about a cigarette right now, which seems to be what he's worried about in the interrogation room. I mean, he's literally only worried about himself. So even when the sentencing came and he had to say, don't use the Harmony case against me. Don't take any of that into consideration. Come on, Adam. That was your lawyer's job to do that. You didn't need to bring that up. It was your fault, and you did plead guilty to it. This guy, he gets under my skin.
Who's this in the car with you?
My girlfriend.
How long have you been back in New Hampshire?
I don't know. For like a day or two.
Day or two. Where were you before you were here?
With her name.
Sorry?
With her name.
What's her name?
Wow, what's wrong?
Whereabouts?
And Carmel.
I'm sorry?
Carmel, Maine?
Carmel, Maine? Where is that?
It's up north.
It's up north.
Yeah.
You sure you don't have anything on you?
Yeah, I don't have nothing on
Super
me.
crazy. I haven't seen you in a long, long time.
Okay, what's going on?
You got a couple detectives that are coming down to talk to you.
Okay. For what?
What's that?
For what?
Just like people are wondering where Harmony is.
Yeah, we want to talk to her.
That's something that you can set down.
Can I just get a cigarette, please?
Not here to give anybody a hard time. I'm just trying to figure some stuff out.
Okay, you guys talk. I don't want to talk to him.
You can have that conversation with them.
I don't want to have that conversation with him. I don't want to.
I'm trying to turn it up a bit. It's really hard to hear. But he doesn't want to talk to the police, he says. He's worried about smoking a cigarette and obviously himself. He's not worried about his
reason you don't
daughter.
want to talk to them?
I don't talk to the fucking police.
What's that?
I don't. Should I call a lawyer?
Where's your phone at, my man?
Don't worry about it.
Once investigators arrived, Adam was asked about Harmony, but he refused to answer.
What? Oh, wait. Am I under arrest? No, you're not. You're not. You don't have any warrants. All right. I got nothing to say.
Adam, right?
Sorry when it gets loud.
Do you remember me from the Elliott Hospital from a while back, man?
Yeah, I got nothing to say.
Right. So, hey, man,
But I wanted
the
you to
only thing we're
see
trying
how
to figure out is where
cunning he is and only worried about himself.
concern is that you guys are the same, right? You're not in trouble. Nobody said you're losing your daughter. Okay? So I want to make that clear. So, you know, I have my body tomorrow too, just like everybody else is being on really quick. So you just need to find out where she is. That's all I'm concerned about. You're not in any trouble right now that I know of. Okay. You have no warrants. Okay. So where's your daughter so we can check on her to make sure that
All they want is his daughter.
But that's not what I'm.
And he's not worried about her at all.
I have nothing to say.
He has nothing to say.
So you don't care if your daughter's okay.
I do. I listen. I have nothing to say.
Yeah, he's a narcissist, all right.
You guys can arrest me.
I'm not saying you're not.
Okay.
Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit without blasting your
I do.
eardrums
Obviously, I do.
out.
My kids. Yeah. About all my kids. Yeah, but other than that, I have nothing.
I remember you talking to me about it at the Elliott because when you were up there, you don't remember me, John.
Yeah, I do remember.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was there to help you out then.
I know.
I want to make sure you're doing okay.
I know you do. I know you will.
And I have a job to do. Like I said, you're not in any trouble. I'm telling you dead ass right now, you're not in any trouble.
Okay.
I care about how your kids are doing, okay?
The
My job
cops
is
playing
to check
into
on
his
you.
narcissism and saying he only cares about him. He wants to make sure he's okay. He already knows.
Later during Adam's police interview, he seemingly still played coy about any information regarding Harmony, and more so voiced his frustration about being picked up on assault charges rather than letting investigators know where his daughter is located.
We have a lot of worried people and scared people right now in the community. I know you're worried about the well-being of your daughter, and I kind of want to get ahead of this because I don't want you to be painted
Again,
as a monster.
smoking another cigarette and worried about himself.
I am? Oh, yeah. Can you explain that to me? You guys are already trying to do me. Explain to me how I'm trying to make you, or whoever is trying to make you out to be a monster. Who's telling you that stuff? Is there somebody from that I work with that told you that? Somebody you're close with, that they told you that? No. All right. But you understand this whole thing is getting a little out of hand. Would you agree? Of course. But so that's why. Look, it's just the way you guys are going about it. And again,
yeah,
I don't
not you specifically, but
right.
Yeah, nobody comes out there like that for a second-degree assault charge. Nobody. Been arrested for worse charges. They don't come out and throw fucking flashbangs at my girlfriend's car and ram us into the fucking guardrail. They don't do that for a second-degree assault charge.
Again, you understand what the charges are, right?
Second-degree assault, right?
Yep.
Okay.
There's also an endangering the welfare charge.
Okay.
And interference with custody. Okay, so
how did I interfere with custody?
So that paperwork that we served you the other day, you remember that?
Okay.
When they were in the alleyway, you remember outside of on Lake Ave?
Yeah.
There's paperwork that you have to comply with.
This
You
guy's
understand that, right?
unbelievable.
We had that conversation, did we not? Right? So that's what that's all about.
So second-degree assault charge, what is this referring to?
Well, that's what we want to talk to you about.
Well, explain to me what if I'm being charged with it. What the hell am I being charged with it for?
He doesn't care at all about his daughter.
Some injuries that you know about when you lived on Guilford Street.
No, I do not. What are you referring to?
Well, You were there, I wasn't, right?
What are you referring to?
I'm
He
referring
makes
to
me
her
upset. He's going in
specific
circles
marks.
here.
What are you referring to?
Marks that were left on her by you.
Absolutely not. I have nothing else to say. But you're sitting there telling me that right off the rip that there was something wrong with my daughter because of me. No, that's bullshit.
Okay. So if your daughter had marks on her at some point when you lived over there,
As far
how would you explain those?
How was she got those marks?
well, I would love to know when that marks were there because DCYF came to my house multiple times.
Okay. And we know that they came there.
Right. And
I was going to
and
say
close the
that
case.
too, Sadie's mama. Another cigarette.
Do we
That's
know
all
that
he cares
DCYF
about.
is the
Don't
flagship
worry about where
agency
his
in
daughter
the
is.
country?
Can I have another cigarette?
No, but if there was significant marks like you're referring to, I believe they would have flagged something at that point, and they would have said something. They wouldn't have came there and seen that the kids were well taken care of. All the kids loved being at the house with me.
Investigators later revealed to Adam multiple people saw Harmony with a bruise on her face, which Adam chalked up to just being hearsay, but still refused to speak about Harmony.
I can't sleep until I know that she's okay.
Sorry
And I
when it
know
gets
that
loud. I
you
can't really control
know
that
where
volume
she
too much.
is
I
or what
can
happened to her, but I can't do it without your help.
without watching it every
If you
second.
don't want to look like this f***ing animal, because I don't think you are.
He does know where
Not
she
that
is,
I don't
and
think you are. I know you aren't.
the cops are playing
But
into it. They're talking
I can
about
only do
caring
so
about
much,
him,
man.
and
I know.
they're
I'm
feeding into his
begging you
narcissism is
to
what
help
they're
me.
doing.
Because
Thank you.
as much as you're hurting inside, I'm also hurting inside, and I don't know how you can sleep at night because I'm sure it's eating the shit out of you. Am I wrong?
No, see me and pies. I know I'm not seeing my wife, I'm not seeing my kids.
It's
You guys
not
are just
eating
playing
him
games
inside.
like this.
He doesn't
But I'm
care.
not trying. I'm not trying to play games. Can you make me a promise? Like man to man? Can you tell me that she's alive?
You're gonna play the same word games that you played with me the other
No,
day.
it's not word games.
I got nothing.
Because we care, man. We want to know.
This isn't gonna go anywhere. Like this isn't gonna stop. So
No, I know it's not.
So
So
either get on the bus now or get run over.
I got nothing else to say.
And here's what else we know surrounding Harmony's disappearance, now presumed murder. Harmony was born in June of 2014 while Adam was in prison. Her mother, Crystal Sorey, at the time was her sole caretaker. Between the time Harmony was born until January 2018, she was removed from her mother's care 3 times because of neglect and her mother's drug use. In July of 2018, Harmony's mother lost custody of her because of drug addiction, and she was placed in a foster home. By February 2019, Adam gets out of prison and was granted legal custody of Harmony by a family court judge. But a couple months later, everything changed. Around Easter of 2019, Harmony's mother says it was the last time she spoke with and saw her daughter. In July of that year, Child Protective Services reportedly received an anonymous call alleging abuse after the caller reported seeing Harmony with a black eye. Between July and October of 2019, Child Protective Services made several visits to the home Adam, Kayla, Harmony, and their other children lived in. They ultimately concluded the abuse was unfounded, but the family was at a risk for future child welfare concerns. Investigators believe Harmony was killed in early December. In January of 2020, Adam told a Child Protective Services worker Harmony was living with her mother in Massachusetts and had been since Thanksgiving of 2019. Then a whole year goes by, no sighting of Harmony. By November of 2021, Harmony's mother called police to report that she hadn't seen her since Easter of 2019. Police then questioned Adam on New Year's Eve of 2021. On January 4 of 2022, Adam was arrested and charged with second-degree assault, interference.
I know this is a lot to absorb. I'm watching it and I'm like 2021, 2022, 29. We're looking at all these years, but this will come together a little bit. This is just I get so heated watching this. Such a beautiful little girl, and this guy's playing games with her life.
With custody and endangering the welfare of a child. His estranged wife, Kayla, was arrested 2 days later for theft. She was released from jail in May of 2022, then a month later arrested on perjury charges, accused of lying during her grand jury testimony. She was released a few days later, then rearrested again in September, where her bail was revoked. By August, the state's attorney general announced the investigation is now a homicide investigation. And 2 months later, Adam was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. In November, his estranged wife, Kayla, pleaded guilty to perjury and in turn must fully cooperate in any future proceedings, including testifying in Adam's murder trial. And in another twist, his defense attorneys are seeking to sever the charges against Adam into separate trials, meaning one trial for the assault charges, another on the murder charge. A judge denied that motion in January. To this day, Harmony's body has still yet to be found, prompting investigators to establish a tip line to help authorities find.
Okay, so we know this. We're caught up with now we're caught up and we can talk about the case. So yeah, this is where we are. No body still has been found, and he is, trial has come, right? So he got the weapons charge, got put away for that as long as they could, and now they want to get this guy on this. And everybody I think does. I'm not really sure who's on this guy's side when it comes to kids. Yeah, none of us sympathize with him, right? And if you do, you can say it. Maybe there's something that I missed in this case, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any sympathy here. He's just a cold-blooded narcissist, really. Yeah, I can't with him. So now we're into 2024. The trial started. Kayla testified him in the last trial. She already pled guilty. So day one comes, and what does he do? He pleads guilty. Now, usually on day one, we get opening statements. This time, he not only did he plead guilty, but the jurors did a walk to important sites that happened. So that's probably pretty powerful as well. Pleading guilty and then having the jurors take a look at these important sites. They're probably having a hard time containing themselves with how they feel or what they think. I don't know. I haven't heard of any content creators that are in the courtroom, but I could imagine the jury's probably pretty hard to read, and I'm wondering how well they're doing with not showing their faces and how they feel about this. Everybody I know about this case, there's not much of a conflict to say, do you think he did it? Especially when he pleads guilty like he does here. So let's play the clip of him pleading guilty. And this is day one of the trial, and then we can talk about what the heck that means. Why? How could he plead guilty and not give up the body? Yeah, it disgusts me, and probably everybody else watching this. Didn't let me. Sorry about that. We're trying to back in here. Sorry, I'm muted. This case, and it's hard for me to watch this and not get very angry about this whole thing. So here we go. Let's watch him plead guilty and then not show up to court after that. Ugh.
You admit to each and every element of the offense of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of corpse. Is that okay? And did you speak with your lawyers in detail about that?
Yes, I did.
And have you reviewed the opening statement in which they will tell that to the jurors?
Yes, I did.
And do you wish for them to acknowledge your guilt on both of those charges, falsifying physical evidence and abuse of corpse?
Yes.
And do you understand that it would be the state's obligation to prove each and every element of those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt before the jury could find you guilty? Do you understand that?
Yes.
And that by agreeing to allow them to acknowledge this in opening statements,
This is Adam Montgomery.
those two offenses, relying on that information. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and that is what you wish to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any further question about that?
No, I do not.
All right, anything further that the state requests?
As further the state request, we assume that the court would take that into account and make a decision whether or not he's making a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary waiver of essentially proofing his facts and proceeding this way, which the court will do.
Okay, so anything you want to add, Attorney Smith?
Not on that issue.
Okay, so Mr. Montgomery, having heard from you that you've discussed this with your lawyers, that you've reviewed the opening statements, the draft of the opening statement, that you acknowledge that you understand that the burden of proof is on the state to prove each of those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt, and that is understanding that it is your desire for them to proceed with that strategy. The court does find that this is a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary waiver of your rights and will allow them to proceed on that basis. Okay?
Oh, yep.
Okay. So while I have you, today you did refuse transport, so I want to talk to you about tomorrow. As we discussed with you this morning, you can't change your mind midway through the day, but you can inform the court if you wish to come tomorrow. And what I would like to do, and each day thereafter. So you can come and we will send a transport for you. That is your absolute right. But as I explained to you this morning, it's also your right to waive your presence and for us to proceed in your absence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to instruct the sheriff's office and the Department of Corrections that someone will ask you tomorrow morning, do you wish to come?
Let's see. I had my mic unmuted. I hope you didn't hear too much of that. Now, I don't understand that they had the choice either. I don't understand what that choice was, why he was able to admit to guilt and not share the body. I just really can't understand that. But in the next video, I'm going to show you this one. I think I'm done with. I just wanted to, I wanted to show you a video of him pleading guilty, even though they didn't actually have a view of him. You could hear him going back and forth with the judge. And he was answering before she even finished. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, this guy just doesn't care. I don't have any kind of sympathy for him or people like him that do these type of crimes. You know, when there's a code of ethics, even in jail, it's women and children, but mostly children is what will get you. So, yeah, I don't get it. He pled guilty on day one, and everybody was blown away by that, thinking, okay, the trial's over. He's given up the body. That has to be part of the plea deal, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I think it was just a move by the defense. It was just a move by the defense to get the least amount of time that he could and try to get himself away from the charges that he actually killed his daughter. And you're going to see that his defense attorney is going to, in the opening statement, try to create reasonable doubt that he did not actually physically kill her. Now, in this plea, you got to understand that if he does get off and he creates a storm of confusion, not going to serve his whole life. He'll be out at some point if he gets abuse of a corpse. That's similar to the Preciados, right? We know Christopher Preciado, his parents both are getting abuse of a corpse. His mom's getting, weapon charges for it being her gun that he took, or her providing it. I don't know exactly what they're charging her with. I don't have that in front of me. But that's not a forever crime. You get out at some point and you live your best life after that. So yeah, this bothers me a lot. We're gonna share this one now. Back on here. Let's find out what that means. Why is he conceding to 2 guilty charges? And we'll hear the charges right now as well. So let's look at the charges and see what he's actually pleading to and why he doesn't have to talk about where the body is. Unbelievable.
By Adam Montgomery is prompting a lot of questions tonight. Legal analyst Patricia LaFrance is here to help answer some of those. And Patricia, what exactly does it mean to concede guilt? Why not just plead guilty?
Right. So basically what Adam Montgomery's attorneys will tell the jury is that they're really not contesting that evidence. But the thing that struck me was opening statements are not evidence. They're just laying out the case. So it would almost appear to me that Adam Montgomery would have to testify because somebody has to say, I acknowledge that these crimes I did commit. So it's an interesting twist and it's an interesting strategy by the defense. I'm guessing the hope is that perhaps what happens a lot of times in jury trials is maybe they want to split the difference. They say, well, he's conceded to this, but, hopefully the strategy is that they find him not guilty of the murder.
And that raises the question, though, how can a defendant concede to abusing a corpse and falsifying physical evidence without looking like they're also guilty of murder? Does it look like maybe he's getting ready to point the finger at someone else when it comes to who killed Harmony?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I would guess that he will point the finger at Kayla Montgomery and say she was the one who did it, and just basically use the logistics of, he is alleged to have hit her while driving, right? So how could he do that? Whereas he will most likely, again, I would anticipate he would have to testify that it was Kayla who struck her and she was distraught and he had to handle the body. So again, I don't see him getting in all of this information without him testifying. And quite frankly, what that tells me also is that he knows where her body is.
And that's a question too, if that will come up in this.
That question better come up. I'm playing these clips because you know what? I can't explain this any better. And I don't want speculation on the cases I cover. I want you to speculate, but I try to be as straightforward as I can. And yes, I have my ideas and my opinions, but I try to stay as close to the actual case that I can. And I don't want to sit there and speculate about any of this or translate it wrong. So with all the questions out there, why isn't he getting out the body? What does that mean for him to concede? How can he be guilty on 2 of the charges and not all of the charges? Now we're covering this here and they're telling you what he's doing, why he's probably doing it. And let's hope that he does have to testify and explain this because he's not even coming to court at this point. I don't know how he's going to explain this away. I really don't. Or maybe not. Maybe he's not going to explain away. Maybe he's just going to plead and then let the defense attorney take this on. So you speculate on it all you want. Everybody can speculate. I'm just trying to give facts and I will give my opinion when I think somebody's a piece of shit. Sorry, I will. I have strong opinions. So let's finish this so we can see what happened in the opening today. And I probably won't play all of it, but I do want you to hear what they're going for.
Trial as well. That's been a big question mark this entire time. But I do want to ask you, does this change the evidence that prosecutors are allowed to present? Can they still talk about what Montgomery allegedly did with Harmony's body if he concedes to abuse of a corpse?
Right. Well, they still have to prove their case because, again, he did not plead guilty. It's not being taken from the jury. A lot of times, if charges are dismissed or somebody pleads guilty, the jury is told you are no longer, you can no longer consider those charges. These are the charges before you now. However, again, the state, he hasn't done that. He hasn't pled guilty. So the state still has to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, like I said, opening statements are not evidence. So the jury will hear that. It is anticipated in the opening statements from the defense, but the state still has to prove its case. So absolutely that evidence will still come in. They may not, call as many witnesses if he's already conceding to the evidence, and they may stipulate to some of the evidence. There was a lot of physical evidence linking him to some of the scenes. So I anticipate maybe they will stipulate that this expert would testify, for instance, about his fingerprints on a piece of ceiling. I believe it was a vent.
Honestly, that was I much as I hate to say it, that was a really good move on his part and the defense. If it works, and it might work, we might not get full justice, or even I should say justice for Harmony. When I'm looking at this case now, and if I'm sitting on the jury, I'm going to say, how do we know that he did this? How do we place him at the scene? If fingerprints were on these things and he admits to abuse of a corpse, and he's admitting, he's saying, hey, I helped hide the body, but Kayla did it. I bought the stuff, but Kayla did it. She was responsible. I was out working. Whatever he's saying, how can we, as people here or on a jury, say without a reasonable doubt that he did it or didn't do it? I don't know. I think this is not good. This is a good move for him, but I can't wait to see what the prosecution brings. I watched a little bit of the trial today, and they brought some stuff on that was sad, and they haven't hit hard yet, I'll say that, but I'll check it out tomorrow and go ahead and go over some stuff and see what exactly was put out there. I just don't think they've hit as hard as they could to say without a reasonable doubt he did it. So let's see.
Where Harmony's remains were allegedly stored. So there may be some stipulations that the both parties will agree to lessen the length of the trial, because a whole month trial is a lot to ask of a jury, especially when he is now conceding a lot of the charges.
Does this change anything else? Does this change opening statements or the strategy for both legal teams?
Right. Well, state always goes first in opening statements, so they really can't say anything until the defense does. So they're going to lay out their case just like they would. What happened today was, quite frankly, I think the defense attorneys just want to make sure they cover their bases. So, that happens a lot of times when you have a defendant telling you something like this, that he's essentially giving up a lot of his rights to challenge the evidence. You want to make sure you cover your bases so he couldn't claim on appeal that his lawyers went and did this without telling him. So that's why you've had that voir dire outside the presence of the jury. So the court put it on the record. He absolutely knows what he's doing and is allowing his defense attorneys to concede those charges.
Patricia LaFrance, legal analyst, thank you for joining us. As always, great talking with you, and really good to clarify some of these lingering questions here.
All right, so he knew exactly what he was doing. I'm gonna say that he knew what he was doing, and no, thank you, Sadie's mama. If you weren't here, I don't know if the people that are following me are on the East Coast or what, but I love true crime too, and I appreciate you being here to hang out with me, or otherwise I'd be talking to myself right now. So thank you. I do work all day long, and I love true crime, and so I want to bring that to the people that follow me that don't know the channels to watch or don't know where to get their information. And honestly, my number one person at the top of the list is my mom, and my mom's 69 years old now. She loves true crime, but she doesn't exactly know where to follow the cases or how to put them together. So she didn't see something. So she only gets to watch stuff. And some people only get to watch stuff when a documentary comes out. That drives me nuts. It drives me nuts when they only get to see when, like, I don't know if I should say the names, but we'll just say when a documentary comes out. I love Keith Morrison, but that's such fluff. It's such fluff. I love it, but it's like a Lifetime movie at this point. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for talking and listening to me talk about why I'm doing this channel and what I'm aiming to do with it. So I want to bring facts, but I want to put a story together for those that are, they're waiting for a documentary to come out that's going to be fluff and not give you some of the real inside information. So yeah, thank you. All right. So let's talk about what happened today. And let's go with the prosecution. Let's talk about what happened. Actually, it wasn't today, excuse me, it was yesterday. Let's talk about the prosecution and what they're laying down if you haven't already seen that. All right, so I'm gonna put this on. Oh, let me get out of here 1 second. Let's put that on, and we're gonna share the screen. Adam Montgomery murder trial. Okay.
Thank you. Where is Harmony Montgomery? Where is Harmony? When people across this nation, from Florida all the way up to Alaska and everywhere in between, were looking for Harmony, there's one person who is not. One person. The one person who should have been looking for Harmony was not. Her biological father, that defendant that you saw 2 days ago, he wasn't looking for her, and in fact, he was hoping that she wouldn't be found. His concern was not with finding this innocent 5-year-old girl. His concern was that she would be found.
Exactly.
And that his heinous and depraved actions would be brought to light. That's because he was the only person in this world who knows where Harmony is, who knows where her body is, and he was hoping that she would never be found. The one person, the one and only person who murdered Harmony, who butchered her body, and who disposed of her like yesterday's trash. This case is about Harmony Montgomery.
Remember, this is not evidence.
I don't want that to get lost as we progress throughout this lengthy trial. This case is about Harmony Montgomery, but it's also about the defendant, his actions, his rage, his brutality, and his escalation in violence. The murder of Harmony Montgomery, that was just the beginning of the depraved actions of this defendant and what this case is all about. It's about a man who, for 2 years, evaded apprehension, didn't have to answer for his crimes, had no appreciation or concern about Harmony being missing because he already knew she was dead. For 2 years before the Manchester Police Department initiated their search for Harmony Montgomery, that man got away with murder. His only concern, other than Harmony's body being found, was to keep his wife, Kayla Montgomery, from coming in here and telling you all what he did to her. His heinous actions, his cover-up, what she witnessed. For 2 years, he got away with butchering a 5-year-old girl. And that defendant made sure that Harmony would never be found, that she'd be gone without a trace. You'll see, he believed that if there was no body, there could be no evidence of the horrible things that he did to her, and he would get away with it. And so he went to great lengths to cover up his crime, to cover up beating Harmony to death for a bathroom accident. He went to great lengths to cover up his conduct. Beating Harmony to death because she soiled herself. And he thought that if he destroyed the evidence, what remained of Harmony, if he destroyed Harmony.
Did any of you see this yet? I'm just curious. Did anybody see the opening statements yet? So I'm playing this through because I want to watch as well. I caught parts of it, but I really think it's important to see the opening statements, kind of watch clips. Oh, great. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Then I'm going to sit here and watch this with you.
He could never be charged. He was careless in this meticulous cover-up. He made mistakes. We're going to hear about those mistakes because it's evidence of his crimes. It's evidence of what he did. So let's talk about the evidence in this case. On December 7th, 2019, the defendant beat Harmony to death because she had a bathroom accident, something she had no control over. She'd peed her pants, and he murdered her in a series of attacks, of brutal strikes that began that morning in the car that she was living out of and ended in the Burger King parking lot that you all saw yesterday on The View. He carried her body with him for months. For months, he carried her body, and he discarded her with zero appreciation for the life that he'd taken, just a fear of being caught. And in the months that followed, he beat, he injured, he terrorized the only witness to his crime, the only person that could come in here and tell you what he did. She was his loose end, Kayla Montgomery, his wife. He conditioned Kayla through force and through threats with the purpose of making sure that she would never come in here and tell you what she'd seen, what he did. Beating Harmony to death for another accident, destroying her body, freezing her, thawing her, squeezing the liquid out of her, compressing her body into a bag like this one.
This is terrible. Terrible.
Compressing her body into a bag like this one and filling it with lime.
I haven't seen this at all. That bag.
Unspeakable things.
That's like a tote bag.
And this is what he did to the only witness he left alive.
Groceries can't fit in that bag.
She was beaten, she was conditioned, and she was living in fear. She was in a nightmare with no end while he dragged around Harmony's body for months. And I want to pause here for just a moment. I want to thank all of you for being here. This is going to be a lengthy trial. You're going to hear many difficult things. That's not lost on us. It's not lost on the attorneys that are in this case. So thank you for taking the time out of your lives to come here and listen to the evidence, to judge the evidence. It's necessary. It's a necessary function. And if you listen to the evidence, if you keep an open mind, and if you follow Judge Messer's instructions, you'll understand the timeline of Harmony's death, of the cover-up. You'll understand the horrible things that that defendant did, why he assaulted, why he murdered, why he terrorized. And after he was done with all of this, why he destroyed evidence, why he lied, why he blocked his friends and family, why he manipulated his wife into doing terrible things to hide his crime, to hide the victim that he'd murdered. So let's talk about the victim that he murdered, the victim that he made sure couldn't come into this courtroom and tell you the horrible things that he did to her. Her name is Harmony Montgomery. And there are 4 descriptions that you're going to hear of Harmony during the course of this trial, some of them horrible. Harmony was born to the defendant, Adam Montgomery, and her mother, Crystal Sorey. She was born on June 7th of 2014. She was a daughter. She was a sister. She was a Minnie Mouse fan. She was a fun-loving girl that loved being a big sister. She was just 5 years old when the defendant brutally murdered her. During the course of her brief life, she was a fun-loving girl. She was someone that defied all odds. She spent most of her life with Tim and Michelle Rafferty, her foster parents, who she called Daddy and Mommy Michelle. And those odds that she defied.
Yeah, now, so we're watching in the opening statements. Right now we're watching prosecutions. We went over the case recap. We went over the guilty plea and why and what conceding means. So we went over that, and now we're going over opening statements for the prosecution, and then we're going to go over the defense just so we can see what they're trying to say is the defense. And everyone's speculating correctly when they say they think he's going to blame somebody else. So maybe that gave up a little bit too much, but yeah, that's kind of where it's headed right now. Everybody knew that with him pleading, he was going towards blaming somebody else and just saying that getting lesser charges and saying he helped dispose of the body, but he didn't do anything. Zabe, have you watched any of this at all? Have you seen did you watch any of the opening statements? None of the opening statements are facts, obviously, that when they give their opinion, so that I'll say. But yeah, we're watching opening statements, and I'm listening until they get a little opinionated. I might fast forward a little so we can get into the defense side. You can see what a piece of work these guys are.
When Michelle Rafferty, when Tim and Michelle got Harmony, when they got custody of her, she was just 2 months old. Michelle was told she's not going to live past 7 months.
So Michelle
told
was
that
on
she
the
had
stand
learning
today.
disabilities. And still, you'll hear that Harmony was an intelligent girl. She was a curious child. She was a child that ran with other children, played with them. She was potty trained at a very early age. At a very early age, she was potty trained, and that'll become important as we progress throughout this trial. So keep that in mind. Harmony was potty trained at a very early age. She wasn't someone that was bound by limitations. And you'll hear that when she lived with her mommy, Michelle, and her mommy, Crystal, she was thriving. She was thriving in school. She was thriving with her peers.
So she actually testified today, and she was crying on the stand. I'm gonna just kind of recap what happened today. This was opening statements yesterday, but he's going over what happened today, and he's talking about the adoptive mom and having Harmony. And she testified that she was really young. She wanted to be older. She was very mature. She wanted to be like the bigger kids, and she potty trained herself. She didn't need Adam to potty train her at 5, 6 years old. She didn't need that. She just needed a good environment to thrive in, and she would do that herself. But I can imagine her being in the back seat of a car, probably for days. Oh, listening to this and seeing her adoptive mom on the stand, it really makes me just want to lock this guy up and throw away the key and not even think twice about it. But we do have to hear what the defense has to say. The prosecution, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because he's going to talk about, if anyone watched the trial, what happened today. He plead guilty to the murder charges. Why we still have a trial? It makes sense when I figured out actually what happened, but it was a little. No, he didn't plead guilty to the murder. That's what I showed that before that. He only pled guilty to abuse of a corpse and another charge. He pled guilty to 2 charges that were not murder, but he conceded to those, and now his defense, we'll hear in a minute what his defense is. So we do still have to have a trial, and he still did not give up the body. So what happened, if you go back when you're done on your live and take a look, you can see what happened when he conceded to it. Definitely is trying to wiggle his way out of the murder and get lesser charges is really what happened. So we have to have a trial because they are trying to charge him on a they want to charge him for murder, full murder. You know, they want to get him on first degree murder. They've got multiple charges that they'll talk about when the jury goes back. They're going to give them their instructions about what type of murder. But yeah, he pled guilty, and the bits and pieces that you saw was what I talked about. He pled guilty and he conceded to that so that he can get the jury to have a reasonable doubt about him doing the murder. I'm going to play the defense so you'll see how disrespectful he is by doing that so that he can play into his defense. It's terrible. So you can see what the prosecution's saying. I wasn't going to play this one today only because I was really heated about the defense. So I'm going to go into the defense real quick. We know what the prosecution's going for, but let's hear about the defense. Let's hear what nonsense to me it's nonsense. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to play that one. Just let's hear this junk that they're talking about. It makes me so mad. All right, so here's the defense. I'm going to put this on. No. Okay, we're going to do day 2, which is the defense. This is a good thing about watching it afterwards. You can fast forward it.
Thank you. You'll see he believed that if there was no body, there could be.
All right, here we are. Well, now we're getting into the defense. We heard the opening from the prosecution, and it's what we've heard over and over and over. He only cared about himself, and he wants to blame somebody else, essentially. So here we go. Let's listen to him
with
blaming someone else.
that picture of Harmony, and seeing that picture is heartbreaking, knowing that Harmony is dead. But Adam Montgomery did not kill Harmony. Adam Montgomery did not beat Harmony in the head as he approached the Burger King drive-thru. Adam Montgomery did not cause Harmony's death. Kayla Montgomery was the last person to see Harmony alive and know how Harmony died. But she didn't come clean with Adam. She didn't come clean with the police. And she will not come clean with you. She is still lying about the cause of Harmony's death. Even though Kayla now has her deal with the state, she continues to lie. The only reason Kayla has to lie now is to protect herself. The only reason she has to lie and point the finger at Adam is because the truth points the finger at her. The only reason Kayla has to lie to make Harmony's death so brutal and foul by Adam is to hide that Adam was protecting Kayla, his wife, and the mother of his kids. Now look, I'm not pretending that Adam isn't innocent here. Adam is not an innocent here. He and Kayla covered up Harmony's death. He's not an innocent here. He and Kayla moved Harmony's body from place to place to keep it hidden. And Adam is not an innocent here. He and Kayla put her body in a shower to wash her remains of the fluids of decomposition and then permanently hid her remains. You can and should find him guilty of those crimes. But in committing those crimes and sticking with a story that protected his wife, Adam set himself up for Kayla's betrayal. Her betrayal to accuse him in the most vile way possible of what he did not do. To accuse him of brutally killing his, not her, daughter, when she knew that was not what happened. The evidence that will show you that Adam did not brutally murder Harmony will come mostly, and very reluctantly, from his accuser, Kayla. Not from other witnesses or the physical evidence, but by showing that Kayla's lies continue. And the only one protected by those lies is her. Because only she, other than an infant,
she actually admitted to that. So they're both saying they abused the course, but both of them are blaming it on each other. So it's one of those trials where, hey, he did it, she did it. Who can get off, right? So since she cooperated with the state, then she's going to get lesser charges. And now they want to say, since she got lesser charges and she got immunity, then she only did that because she got immunity. But they're pointing the finger at each other is what they're doing. And if you hear his attorney that's lying through his teeth, he's saying, oh, he's not guilty. He's trying to make it like, hey, he's a bad guy, but he didn't do this. The classic defense, right? He may be a cheater, but he's not a killer. That's what it sounds like to me. He may have helped cover it up, but he didn't do it. So yeah, that really pisses me off. And the more this guy talks, the more heated I get. So let's.
A toddler was around when Harmony died. Only she knows the truth, and only she has benefited from all the lies she has told. November 27, 2019, a day before Thanksgiving. Adam, Kayla, Adam's daughter, Harmony, toddler son, Seamus, infant son, Declan, were evicted from their home on Guilford Street in Manchester. They began living out of their Chrysler Sebring. In the following week, when Adam was running around trying to make money to get them out of their situation, Kayla was left cooped up in that seemingly increasingly smaller by the minute car with a 5-year-old child, not her own, a 2-year-old toddler, and a less than 1-year infant, all of whom needed attention, all of whom needed to move around, and none of whom were doing well being cooped up in that car. And Kayla didn't.
Yes, and who should have provided them or helped provide them with a place to live? What about that? That makes me so mad. Who should have helped provide this woman that was an addict that had a 1-year-old baby that he made to be in a car with 3 kids? Who does that? This guy is just, he makes me so angry. And this defense attorney makes me so mad. I can't watch this without just being mad. All right, let's watch it.
Do well either. Adam was off doing his own thing, and Kayla was stuck. Harmony's body was not discovered lifeless in the car at that busy intersection you saw yesterday. It was not discovered at that intersection in the middle of the day on December 7, 2019, as Kayla now claims. Both Adam and Kayla discovered Harmony's cold, lifeless body much earlier, in the dark of night, behind Colonial Village, when Adam returned from his business. Kayla made Adam feel responsible. She claimed not to know what happened. It was Adam's fault for everything they were going through. It was not her fault, she insisted. She thought all the kids were asleep. He had to protect her. He had to protect their children. If anyone found out, their children would be taken. Adam stood by Kayla, and together they covered up Harmony's death. By that decision,
Kayla
Adam
stood by
became so
Adam.
intertwined in
Wrong
Harmony's
way.
death that he could not get out. Neither Adam nor Kayla knew what to do, so they put the decision off. Adam placed Harmony's body in a duffel bag from the car and placed that duffel bag in the trunk. And Harmony's body was in that bag in the trunk of the car when it broke down at the intersection of Webster and Elm. They had driven off from the Colonial Village apartments to try and figure out what to do, where to put Harmony's body. But then the car broke down. When it did, Adam grabbed the bag from the trunk and carried Harmony's body away from the intersection to the parking lot at Colonial Village. From there, as you'll hear, Harmony's body was moved from place to place until Adam and Kayla finally figured out a plan to hide the body permanently. When asked, Adam and Kayla told people that
You like how he's making it sound like Adam's a Mr. Rogers? He was just out doing his own thing. He was off doing drugs or whatever. He didn't beat Kayla up. He was a good man. Such a good man. He supported Kayla. Well, if he supported Kayla, he would have had a place for them lined up. He would have put her in a homeless shelter with the kids and not had her in a car doing drugs all day while he was running around. I don't believe that at all. I do not. It's so hard to watch this man. All right, back to it.
Harmony was back with her biological mom in Massachusetts. Let's now move forward 2 years. December 2021. This was 2 years after Harmony's death and close to a year after Kayla and Adam had separated. The police were now investigating Harmony's disappearance. They found Kayla and asked her where to find Adam and where Harmony was. Kayla gave the lie she and Adam had used to explain why Harmony was no longer living with them after Harmony died in December of 2019. That Adam had returned Harmony to her mother in Massachusetts. Kayla also told the police that she believed Adam was in Maine. After speaking with the police, she contacts Adam and she told him, quote, "You need to come down here." She told him he needed to return to New Hampshire and deal with the police because she was not going to deal with all this by herself.
It's a classic defense.
Adam did what Kayla told him to do and returned.
Adam
But
did not do what
unfortunately for
Kayla told him to do.
He also brought another woman, Kelsey Small, with him. Adam met up with Kayla and they talked about what to do. That New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve 2021, Kayla talked to the police again. This time, it was at the Manchester police station. She again gave the lie that protected her, insisting Adam took Harmony to her mother's, and that was all that she knew. And after well over an hour of talking, as Kayla stuck with this lie, the police gave her time alone to think.
Oh, I believe she lied
to
for
write
him.
down what she wanted to say, just in case it was too difficult to verbally speak about.
Yeah, she was the bad guy. She
And
lied,
Kayla
I'm
did
sure.
take that time alone.
But this
to think
guy is
and to write.
unbelievable.
And this is what she wrote. Quote, I don't know what happened. No clue. I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom, to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning. And she wrote, you need to get him to talk. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me. Kayla was ready to point the finger at Adam, but only in a way that protected herself. 5 days later, January 5th,
She didn't want to get beat.
Kayla was arrested anyway, but for something different than what the police had wanted to talk with her about. Instead of being arrested in relation to Harmony's disappearance, she was arrested for something else, what eventually became a theft charge. But she knew the arrest was to pressure her. While in jail, Kayla had more time to think.
Both went too far.
And to scheme. How was she going to get out of this mess that she was in? She knew that the police thought she had information about what happened to Harmony.
How is he going to get
And
out
she
of
knew
it?
that the walls
By
were
blaming
closing in.
Kayla. Let's blame Kayla. The whole
Kayla
opening.
also
Whole opening.
That pointing the finger at Adam was worth something. And she pointing the finger would help get her out of this mess. And she thought about
Just
how
like
to
he's
use
doing
Adam to get out
right
of it.
now. Adam's using Kayla. This guy sounds like he wants to be Mr. Rogers. He's making me so mad because he's blatantly lying. I know
What
Kayla
I'm holding up for you
did something wrong,
is defenses
but
G for identification.
I know Adam is not a saint at
This
all.
plastic bag contains a note. This note is written by Kayla, and it reflects what she wanted for a bargain.
Wait, are you Sadie's mama? Are you talking about the Casey Anthony case? Where, yeah, this is they're trying to create speculation. They're trying to create confusion and speculate all these things going on so they can create reasonable doubt. If you're talking about the Florida case, if you're talking about Casey Anthony, that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And to this day, she still lies. She just did a documentary. And I know I'm getting off topic with this, but I gotta say it. She did a documentary and she came out 10 years later, and poor me, my father did this, my father did that. Yeah, it was a complete shit show of a trial. And people wanted to kill her, so she went into hiding. So if he does get off somehow, I don't know how off he's gonna get or how much people are gonna do that. But yeah, it was Casey Anthony, and I mean, they had all the evidence, but she blamed the dad, said the last time she saw Kaylee was with the dad, and the dad was holding her, and she was wet, and the pool was there, and that's all she knows. She can't remember. And then now the parents did a lie detector test, and I don't know how good lie detector tests are, but I never thought that the parents had anything to do with it. But she got off. All right. Enough about that. Let's get back to this so we can get through it. I'm so mad at this case. I'm so mad at the Adam here. This guy, something else.
A few weeks after her incarceration, this note was found in Kayla's cell. And in her musings, She writes of her willingness to, quote, betray Adam, not to finally be free of Adam, not to finally be safe from him, not to tell the truth, to betray, meaning stab him in the back. But she also wrote of her longing to be alone with him one more time, to kiss,
Yeah, this is
to make love if she could.
this is
She
gross.
didn't write of fearing to be alone with him. She did not write of any fear that Adam would hurt or kill her for her betrayal. In her
I'm going to
fairy
fast
tale
forward this a
musings,
little. He's saying the same
Adam would
thing.
understand, and
He's saying the same thing over and over, and he's literally just shifting the blame. Now, yeah, I believe Kayla is responsible for listening to Adam abuse of a corpse. She should have went and turned him in if she was strong enough. Now, had she not had a 1-year-old and another baby, I think she might have been a little bit stronger, but where would she have gone? She was, I think part of it, she wanted to tell, but she's responsible for that. But do I believe for 1 second that Adam didn't beat that little girl, kill that little girl, and then them two covered it up? That's what I believe. This is making me mad. I'm gonna fast forward it a little bit. Sorry.
Adam pushed Harmony away while checking on Declan.
I shouldn't even have ads. I have premium YouTube.
A week later, upon returning to Florida, I believe it was July 29th, Kevin made a report to New Hampshire DCYF. And he told DCYF that Adam gave Harmony a black eye, conflating what Adam had said. A veteran caseworker, Dimitrios Saros, responded that very same day, the 29th, to investigate. Though the encounter was brief, he did see Adam and Harmony outside the house getting into a car. And when he saw Harmony, he observed no concerns. He also followed up, paying another visit on August 7th. This time he did see a small red mark in Harmony's right eye and faded bruising under the eyelid. He spoke to Harmony alone, asked probing questions to find out what may or may not have happened, and then, after doing his job, left the visit satisfied that there was no substantiated evidence of abuse. I am getting ready to step down, but before I do, there is just one more instruction I need to discuss. The court has instructed you that you are to decide this case not on sympathy, but on the evidence and the evidence alone. This case involves the tragic and senseless death of Harmony, an innocent 5-year-old, and it triggers perfectly understandable, innate human emotions, and it would be inhuman not to feel them. But as was discussed during the jury selection process, and as you've been instructed by the court, you all have a difficult yet necessary task: deciding this case not on emotion, not on sympathy, but on the evidence. And after you have heard all the evidence, after you've heard all the evidence in this case and apply the facts to the law, you will know that Adam did not murder his daughter or engage in witness tampering with Kayla. Kayla was an equal participant in the cover-up. She alone knows how Harmony died, and she won't tell. At this trial's conclusion, we will ask you to follow the evidence you have heard and find Adam not guilty of murdering his daughter, witness tampering with Kayla, and second-degree assault.
All right, so we've watched this. Thank you for hanging in there. Oh, this case, I'm glad we're almost done with this one. I wasn't going to cover it, but I just kept seeing it and it was bothering me. So, what do you think? Why doesn't Adam Montgomery want that body to be found? You think that you think that they'd even be able to find out what happened? I mean, a bag with lime and such a little girl, you think she's probably decomposed really bad by now. But I'm wondering, and he did get witness tampering. They are charging him with that. He pled guilty to abuse of corpse, but he didn't plead to the witness tampering because I think it might have been tied to the murder somehow. And knowing what happened with the murder and where the body is, etc. So I'm not really sure the rest of the charges or what's behind him. I'll have to watch it and find out. But yeah, his lawyer, his lawyer just lied right now. And every time he said Kayla's name, it irked me. Every time he said, oh, she did this, or she didn't want to say this, or she wasn't telling, it just makes me so mad. So yes, I'm gonna go with, and I'm gonna say I can't wait until he's convicted. He's not innocent until proven guilty anymore. He's guilty. He's guilty, and we're gonna see what happens. And I hope that justice is served for that little girl. Yeah, this case just hits close to home. I have a daughter that's 9 years old. I love her so much. And it was hard for me to get her. It wasn't as easy as somebody that can just say, oops, we had an accident. So I have a 9-year-old with my wife, and we had to work hard to get her. And I love that little girl. So when I see a little girl being disposed of like that, no care for her, no medical attention, I just can't. I can't do it. So yeah, I'm here to see justice all the way through. I want to see him being convicted of the murder and not getting out. Maybe they'll give him, because of all the speculation and the reasonable doubt, maybe they'll charge him with it, but maybe after 30 years he'll be eligible for parole. But let's lock him up for 30 years then. Let's let him be an old man. He's done a bunch of drugs. Maybe he won't make it. Maybe he won't make it because he killed that little girl. But let's lock him up. Let's see. Let's watch together. I'll come back on after I think there's something notable to talk about, and then I'll definitely cover what the verdict is for sure. If I can catch the verdict, I will catch it live. If I can catch some of the sentencing, I'll catch it. But I want to see this through. I want to see justice be served for Harmony. Right now, I feel like it's not served yet. So, yeah, let's watch this together. I'll keep you posted. If you see anything, keep me posted. twistedimagesart@gmail.com. That's my email. So if anybody wants to email me anything about the cases, anything like that, I'm twistedimagesart@gmail.com. I'm gonna put that up so you can see it. And I'm Jay. I'm your host, Jay, with Guilty of Crime. I appreciate you watching this. Please like the video. You're already subscribed if you're here. If you're watching it, please subscribe. I've got a lot of views so far. I haven't put out that much content, but I've got like 4,000 views, and that's a lot for me because I'm new. So if you're viewing it, please like it and subscribe. If you have anything that you want to send me, twistedimagesart@gmail.com. All I want is your support. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you, Sadie's mama. I'll see you soon.